Good day everyone, I am Shanty Fortana together with my fellow groupmates Nicole Diaz and Joan Violago, and we are here to present our topic, the basic philosophy. So let's begin with the definition of philosophy. So the word philosophy is derived from two Greek words. The first word philo, which means love, and second sophia, which means wisdom. Thus etymology speaking, philosophy means the love of wisdom. Philosophy is the study of general and fundamental problems, such as those connected with existence, knowledge, values, reason, mind, and language. It is also the rational attempt to formulate, understand, and answer fundamental questions. So now, we will proceed to the major branches of philosophy. So basically, philosophy is divided into four major branches, namely metaphysics, epistemology, logic, and ethics. So first, what is metaphysics? Metaphysics came from two Greek words, meta, which means beyond or after, second, physica, which means physical or nature. Thus, etymology speaking, metaphysics means the study of things beyond the physical. Furthermore, metaphysics is a branch of philosophy that is generally focused on how reality and the universe began. Metaphysics is further subdivided into two, namely general metaphysics, also referred as ontology, and special metaphysics, also referred as cosmology. So first, we need to define what is ontology. So ontology is derived from two Greek words, ontho, which means being, and logos, which means study. Ontology is a branch of philosophy that studies concepts such as existence, being, becoming, and reality. In other words, ontology studies the first principle or the essence of all things. Next, the cosmology. From the ancient Greek word cosmos, which means the world, and logos, which means study, cosmology is a science of how the universe started and how it is structured. In other words, cosmology studies the world or universe, including its origin, dynamics, and characteristics. An example of cosmology is the study of the Big Bang Theory. Do you remember the Big Bang Theory? The Big Bang Theory is the leading explanation of how the universe began. Next branches of philosophy is epistemology. So what is epistemology? Epistemology is derived from the Greek word episteme, which means knowledge, and logos, which means study. Epistemology is the study of knowledge acquisition. It involves an awareness of a certain aspect of reality, and it seeks to discover what is known and how it is known. The main purpose of epistemology is to know and understand the nature and limits of the knowledge that humans possess. Furthermore, epistemology helps us to differentiate truth and lie. There are three conditions of epistemology: the truth, belief, and justification. So first, truth, it is the quality or state of being true. And second, belief, it is an acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists. Third, the justification, it is the action of showing something to be right or reasonable. And I believe that epistemology traditionally has been understood as justified through belief. We are here to the third major branches of philosophy, logic. The term logic came from the Greek word logos, which means study. Logic is a branch of philosophy that seeks to organize reasoning. Briefly speaking, we might define logic as the study of the principle of correct reasoning. Aristotle defined logic as new and necessary reasoning. New because it allows us to learn what we do not know, and necessary because its conclusions are inescapable. Under logic, we have deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning. So first, we need to define deductive reasoning. It is a logical approach where we can progress from the general ideas to specific conclusion. Deductive reasoning is informally called a top-down approach, while the inductive reasoning is a method of drawing conclusions by going from the specific to general. Inductive reasoning, informally called this bottom-up approach. These two methods of reasoning have a very different feel. Inductive reasoning, by its nature, is more open-ended and exploratory, especially at the beginning, while deductive reasoning is more narrow in nature and concerned with testing or confirming hypotheses. The fourth major branches of philosophy is ethics. So the word ethics is derived from the Greek word ethos, which means character, and from the Latin word mores, which means custom. Together, they combine to define how individuals choose to interact with one another. In addition, it is important to know that ethics is not the same with morality, because the word morals is derived from a Greek word mos. On the other hand, as I said earlier, ethics derive from a Greek word ethos, which means character. So put simply, morals are the custom established by a group or individual, whereas ethics defines the characters of an individual. Nature of philosophy. Philosophy is a set of views or beliefs about life and the universe, which are often held uncritically. Philosophy is a process of reflecting on and criticizing our most deeply conceptions and beliefs. Philosophy is a rational attempt to look at the world as a whole. Philosophy is a logical analysis of language and the clarification of the meaning of words and concepts. Philosophy is a group of perennial problems that interest people and for which philosophers always have sought answers. Importance of philosophy. The study of philosophy enables us to think carefully and clearly about important issues. In studying philosophy, we learn to take a step back from our everyday thinking and to explore the deeper, bigger question which underpins our thoughts. The focus in the study of philosophy is to learn not what to believe, but how to think. Studying philosophy sharpens your analytical abilities, enabling you to identify and evaluate the strengths and weaknesses in any position. It hones your ability to construct and articulate cogent argument of your own. It prompts you to work across disciplinary boundaries and to think flexibly and creatively about problems which do not present immediately solutions.
Well-known philosophers and their philosophies. Socrates, ancient Greek philosophers, which changed philosophy from a study of natural science to ethics and politics. He was famous for no writings but for engaging people in conversation to examine the nature of our thoughts about various big issues we all confront in life, what is now called the Socratic method, for it is a series of questions and answers as a way to make headway with our thoughts and their rational limits. Socratic method was named after him. Socrates is famous for arguing that one must know himself, that the examine of life is not worth living, therefore it is a cruel irony that he was condemned to death for corrupting the youth he was teaching to search the truth. Plato, ancient Greek philosopher, student of Socrates, most influential philosopher of all time. He based his philosophy on two principles, truth and simplicity. He was a brilliant man, one of the greatest philosophers of the past 2,500 years. Both Socrates and Plato know that a good society must be founded on wisdom derived from truth and reality. In the Republic, Plato outlines his ideas of the ideal society. He believed that no one should have wealth or luxury, and all should do what they are best united to. Aristotle, ancient Greek student of Plato, second most influential philosopher of all time, tutor to the young prince of Macedon, Alexander the Great. His works include the Nicomachean Ethics, Metaphysics, and Politics. The first philosophy. Metaphysics is universal and this exclusively concerned with primary substance. Aristotle was the first philosopher to formalize the subject of metaphysics as he explained. Metaphysics is the study of the one substance, example God or nature, which exists and causes all things and is therefore the necessary foundation for all human knowledge. René Descartes, father of modern philosophy. Descartes began his philosophy by doubting everything in order to figure out what he could know with absolute certainty. Although he could be wrong about what he was thinking, his reason from this thought experiment that one cannot trust the sense as a source of knowledge. Immanuel Kant is considered to be the greatest of the modern philosophers. His influence is all-pervasive in almost every area of philosophy. Kant is a proponent of what he calls transcendental idealism. In its simplest form, transcendental idealism holds that there are certain ways in which humans must perceive and conceive the world as being due to the types of being humans are. Thomas Aquinas was an Italian Dominican friar and priest who was an immensely influential philosopher. He is famous for his Summa Theologica. He believed that the truth is true regardless of the source. Thomas thought about philosophy as the discipline that investigates what we can know naturally about God and human beings. Thomas is perhaps most famous for his so-called 5 ways attending to demonstrate the existence of God. These 5 short arguments constitute only an introduction to a rigorous project in natural theology. Theology that is properly philosophical and so does not make use of appears to religious authority that run through thousands of tightly argued pages. Thomas also offers one of the earliest systematic discussion of nature and kinds of law, including a famous treatment of natural law.
As a continuation of our discussion, I am Joan Violago and I will discuss to you the philosophical foundation of education. But first, let me define what is philosophy of education. This is a set of beliefs that would inform us on how to teach, what to teach, and why we are going to teach. This focus is the purpose of teaching and the methodologies that we can use to teach the students. The first philosophy of education that we will talk about is the perennialism. It was proposed by Robert Hoskins and Mortimer Adler. They believe that things that is ageless, eternal, and unchanged. They also believe that truth is universal and does not depend on circumstances of time, place, and person. They call these transcendent truths and transcendent values. Meaning, pinaniniwalaan po nila ang isang bagay regardless of time, place, and person. Ibig sabihin po nito, hindi po mahalaga sa kanila kung anong panahon na publish ang information na iyon, kung saan at kung sinong tao ang nag-publish nito. According to the perennialist, the purpose of education is to teach people to develop their intellectual skills, character, emotional, and physical powers. Education should center around knowledge from past to educate the future generation, and the perennialist curriculum is a teaching method that focuses on the study of timeless topics. They believe that we as a future teacher, we are not just going to teach them the basic knowledge that they need, but we can help them to develop themselves, to show their skills, and to develop their talents. The education should center around knowledge from the past to educate the future generation, meaning mahalaga pa rin po na pag-aralan natin ang mga topic o mga pangyayari noong nakaraang panahon dahil maaari itong magbigay ng mga aral na maaring matutunan ng mga bata sa kasalukuyan. Perennialism is a teacher-centered classroom. The students can find wisdom from the past, and these past ideas are still relevant. Meaning, it is a teacher-centered classroom wherein the teacher is the one who controls the environment in the classroom. She is the one who discusses the topics, and the students will just listen to it. And the teacher did not allow the interest and the experience of the students to involve in the discussion. According to the perennialist, the past ideas are still relevant. We need to use them as our guide or as a reference in teaching. These ideas that published a long time ago as they're useful. We need them in preparing for our discussion because it is more reliable than the information we can get from the internet. The second philosophy of education that we will talk about is the progressivism. It was proposed by John Dewey, who believes in change and in growth. And he also believed that learners should be enlightened and should fully live their lives now. And it is known for the need-based and relevant curriculum. John Dewey believed that everyone undergo the process of change and growth. Everyone will grow, everyone will improve themselves. He also known for his theory learning by doing, meaning the students will learn better if they're going to do it or if they're going to perform a task to help them to learn effectively. Progressivism is known for need-based and relevant curriculum, meaning the teachers will teach the students based on their needs, and the teacher should only teach what is relevant for the students because they need to learn the information or the knowledge they needed to live themselves. Progressivism is known as child-centered instruction, meaning everything is done in the classroom is done for the purpose of facilitating and nurturing students' development. They also believe that the child should learn by doing rather than passively watching. Hindi lang yun po yung teacher yung nagsasalita, but it involves the participation of the students in a discussion. Pwede pong magtanong yung teacher tungkol sa lesson and the students will answer them. In progressivism po, learning is constructed based on discovery and experience. Yung mga bagay na ginagawa ng bata ay mas madali nilang matututunan. Tulad na lamang po in science. Diba may mga experiment po dito kung saan yung mga students yung gagawa ng isang activity because the students will learn more by doing, according to John Dewey. The method used in progressivism is hands-on, minds-on, and hearts-on teaching methodology. Meaning yung mga activities po like puzzle, field trips, and problem solving. The following activities will help the students to think critically. Mas matututo po sila at maiengganyo na mag-participate sa discussion kung yung mga activities na gagawin po nila ay siguradong mag-e-enjoy sila. Tulad na lamang po ng mga puzzle at problem solving, hindi po siya nakakapatay ng oras. May mga bata po na gusto na nata-challenge po sila. By doing the following activities, the information or knowledge not only just stay in their minds of the students, but they will use it as an application through the use of such puzzle games, field trips, or the problem solving. Teachers should expose the student to many new scientific, technological, and social development, reflecting the progressivist idea that progress and change are fundamental. We, as a future teacher, we are not just give them the pen and paper works. We should give them the hands-on activities like experiment if our subject is science. If our subject was math, we can use the multiplication or addition drill that will help the students to improve themselves in math. If our students was lack in reading comprehension, we should do oral reading in every week. That will help the students to practice their reading skills. Aside from this, we can do role playing to discover the talents of our students. These activities will help the students to show their true talents and skills in performance activities. Third philosophy of education that we will talk about is Essentialism, proposed by William Bagley and James Conner. They believe in doing what is essential and is essence first before existence, and the life of a person is predestined. Bago man po tayo mabuhay sa mundong ito, ay may nakatadhana na pong buhay para sa atin. Sinasabi po ng iba na ito ang tadhana ko. Kung ano man po yung buhay na pinagdadaanan niya ngayon, ay sasabihin po niya na, ito ang buhay na nakalaan para sa akin, mabuti man ito o masama. Essentialism is focused on what is essential and the most important parts of learning. Ituturo lamang po sa bata yung mga bagay o mga aralin na magagamit niya sa pang-araw-araw niyang buhay, tulad na lamang po ng pagsusulat, pagbabasa, at ang mathematics. In progressivism, the teacher and administrator will decide what is important to the students to learn without considering the students' interest, background, and the learning style. That is why it is called the teacher-centered. It is called teacher-centered because the teacher is the one who is talking throughout the discussion, and the students will just listen the discussion made by the teacher. So the students did not allow to participate in class discussion. They did not allow to ask questions and express themselves throughout the discussion. Existentialism, proposed by Jean-Paul Sartre and Soren Kierkegaard. It is known for the quotation, "Existence precedes essence," according to Jean-Paul Sartre, meaning we need to live a life first to know our purpose in this world. We need to go through a different paths to know our purpose in our lives. Gives emphasis in the individual existence and freedom of choice and responsibility for one's action. Meaning we are free to live our life, but we must take the responsibility in every action that we made. Existentialism in education provides the student with an opportunity to discover themselves and reflect on the life's purpose. So the students are also encouraged to be more than just a consumer of information, but rather an active participant in the process of acquiring knowledge. So hindi lang po tayo dito yung uupo sa isang tabi habang si teacher ay nagdi-discuss. Kailangan po tayo ay magkipag-participate in discussion. Maaari po tayong magtanong kung tayo ay may mga katanungan kay teacher. Maaari din po tayong maging involved in activities kapag nagpapagawa si teacher. Para po yung process ng knowledge ay hindi lang po nasa utak natin. Ngunit kailangan din po natin siyang gawin. And lastly, They encourage the learners to think critically about what they learn in order to develop their understanding of themselves and the world around them. We need to think critically in order to develop our understanding about ourselves. We need to be aware of ourselves before we understand the people around us. We need to discover our talents and our skills in order to develop ourselves. And that's the end of our discussion. Thank you for listening, everyone. Have a nice day. Thank you.